Well, a very good evening to you and welcome to the most comprehensive bulletin in the country. This is your trusted name in news. My name is Wilson Buru. Welcome to KTN Prime.
And I'm Nancy Kachingira. We're live from the KTN News Center, bringing you the day's top news, business and sports stories.
And it is Monday night, and your date is tonight. It's part two of the Inside Story. What really happened in Mpeketoni?
That's right. That's the question we're asking. And John Allen Namo will bring you the real story after this bulletin.
Also tonight, the fate of the patients in Mombasa continues to hang in the balance. But now we go live to John Allen Namo to tell us more about the Inside Story.
Following on yesterday, where we examined the human cost of the attacks in Mpeketoni and in Lamu West, we look at some of the more nuanced issues that led to the attacks in the first place. Who planned it? How did they get there? As well as the role of intelligence. There was a very serious intelligence war that played out earlier on this year that had extremely important consequences for what happened in Mpeketoni. So we're going to be looking at that, as well as some of the contradictions of the government with regard to who's responsible, as well as the way forward, guys.
Right. Thank you very much, John. From humanizing the story yesterday, we now ask the real tough questions, and that's coming up on Killer's Corridor, part 2 of the Inside Story tonight.
But let's first of all look at some of other stories that we have prepared for you tonight.
They have blocked the roads from Mandera to Ramo, the roads from Elwak to Ramo, and no water, no food supply in Ramo town.
It's just a spillover into Kenya. The conflict actually started in Ethiopia.
What really happened in Ramo? Unanswered questions as the death toll remains unclear.
Kuja saa 12 alfajiri hapa kwa kufanyiwa dialysis, lakini wamegoma.
Health workers paralyze operations in Mombasa.
By the time I sign, I should be knowing what I'm signing for or against.
You collect the signatures, and with the signatures, you attach it with the bill to the Electoral and Boundaries Commission.
Plus, which one comes first? Confusion over collection of referendum signatures.
And no objections. Asian and Bukusu lovebirds now set to tie the knot.
Now, at least 6 people have died and 43 others injured as villages were torched in Ramu sub-county of Mandera.
This comes as Kenya Red Cross Society suspends its operations in the town.
KTN's Ian Wafula reports.
Just 15 kilometers away from their destination, the medical personnel traveling in this emergency response vehicle brushed shoulders with death after gunmen sprayed them with bullets at around 9 p.m. Sunday. One of them was injured as they tried to evade the gunmen, and for hours they were forced to take refuge in the nearby thicket, from where they were rescued by police. However, upon returning to the scene Monday morning, their vehicle was vandalized and its basic life support was destroyed. The ambulance and its personnel were on their way to Ramu town, where several people were injured when gunmen stormed the town Sunday morning and fired bullets indiscriminately. Back in the city, the Kenya Red Cross management says a crucial decision was made after their second ambulance was damaged.
I cannot, and I will not, and I shall not risk the lives of ordinary young men and women who are staff and volunteers of the Kenya Red Cross. Yesterday was a warning. This afternoon was a second warning. You don't wait for the third shot to be fired at you, for you then you realize we have a problem here. So I'm saying, as far as Mandera North Sub-County is concerned, in Ramu town, we will now suspend our activities as of today.
The humanitarian organization says it was a difficult move as over 43 people were injured from the attacks. Mandera County Commissioner has confirmed that at least 6 people died from both the Gare and Digodia communities.
One of the things also these communities do is they hide facts of how many people are killed. Like yesterday, it will be very hard for you to know how many people were killed, yet we know people were killed.
When asked if the Kenya Red Cross Society had sought security for its staff, the management says this would have contradicted their mandate as a neutral party to the conflict. With an ending conflict between the Gare and Digodia, with militia emerged from both communities fighting, those mostly affected are civilians, more so the over 40 injured who now will remain unattended to. The Kenya Red Cross is urging the national government to intervene in the situation at hand. Meanwhile, members of county assemblies from Mandera are raising concerns over the tension in the area. They accuse the security apparatus of laxity.
No water, no food supply in Ramo town. The people, the residents of Ramo, are actually camping in the police station when these terrorists were killing innocent people. No response has been received from them as for yesterday.
Police spokesperson Zipporah Mboroki says additional forces have been deployed to Ramu.
PS has immediately deployed officers from the neighboring counties to reinforce officers in Ram town, while additional officers have arrived in the area, and together they are swiftly restoring peace and security on the ground.
Since May, the clashes between the Gare and Digodia in Mandera and Wajir counties have left over 100 people dead and 100,000 others displaced. Ian Wafula, KTN.
Let's go to health matters now, and health services in Mombasa County remain paralyzed for the second week. Striking workers say their county government has continued to delay their salaries. They also accuse the county government of disregarding their demands for more health professionals and improved facilities. Edith Kimani takes us through the perennial push and pull between government and Kenyan health workers.
The message from the Mombasa County health workers is determined. The heat is on, they chant defiantly to their governor, and you better run, they conclude. Public health services have, as a result of this strike, been crippled, with those daring enough to go against the grain publicly denounced. But the health workers say Mombasa County government had it coming.
We had agreed with the county government last week that they will pay salaries and fulfill other requirements that we had agreed in that memorandum by Friday last week.
Those at the direct line of this fire are patients like this man who only got apologetic glances and shoulder pats where he had come for treatment. The desperation of the patients is evident. A man who says he has been waiting to see a doctor since 6 in the morning calls to us.
Sisi unapotuona hapa ni wagonjwa wa dialysis. Leo tumekuja kwa matibabu yetu na mgomo ndio umefika, kwa hivyo leo hatukufanyiwa dialysis.
Wahid says he feels trapped with no treatment at the hospital and none at home. Yet this is a familiar narrative in Kenya. At the end of last year, doctors and health workers went on a 12-day nationwide strike, ending only after a string of meetings between government and the Secretary General of the Medical Practitioners and Dentists Union. Today, the health workers want the same things they have been demanding in past strikes, which have occurred over each of the last 3 years.
The issue of promotions for health workers, the issues for employment into permanent and pensionable terms and condition of service for those health workers who are on contract, the issues of transfers for those nurses and other health workers.
Mombasa County officials, however, say there is no need for all that.
What we are actually doing this morning is urging the doctors and the nurses and the pharmacists to actually check with their accounts and, in the interest of care and the dignified care of the residents of Mombasa, return to work so that we can actually have normal services resuming.
The hope is that the initial step to pay the salaries will get the workers back to work. But today, their resolve is unshaken as they go through hospital corridors, calling for mass action with innocent patients helplessly looking on. Edith Kimani, KTN.
Well, that brings us to our big question tonight, and we are asking, should health services be fully devolved? Should health services be fully devolved?
That's right. That's the question on the table. Let us know what you think. You can do that by sending us an SMS. 22155 is the number. You can also tweet us at KTN Kenya, at Kachungera, and at Wilson_Mburu. Let us know what your thoughts are on that. And earlier we did speak to the Cabinet Secretary for Health, James Macharia, and we just wanted to get down to the bottom of this issue. Why are we not seeing the situation in Mombasa resolved? Here is that phone interview now. Yeah, we wanted to find out from you this evening, why is the situation in Mombasa still the way it is? The workers are still on strike. Why haven't we come to a resolution yet?
Well, as I said last week, we heard about 3 counties which have not paid their salaries by around Wednesday last week. By end of Wednesday, Busia and Machakos did pay. And so only Mombasa was left. And they gave me the assurance that they were paying by Thursday last week.
Mm-hmm.
I understand payments were made. But clearly the other issues, they have to do with administration and management issues. And, affecting the county government and the way they run the hospital. So that really has to be responded to by the county government, because clearly I don't think there are other issues to do with the payment of salaries outstanding.
But wouldn't you agree that this is a much larger issue? I mean, there's been a strike each year. For the last 3 years, there's been a medical workers' strike. Isn't this a much more far-reaching problem than just Mombasa and just the current situation?
Well, but you see, what I'm saying is there's no other county which got issues as of now other than Mombasa. So there's not a nationwide strike. It's not a nationwide strike. There's just one institution in one county which is not doing what they're supposed to do. As simple as that. So it's not a systemic problem which requires, a policy intervention. All what needs to be done has been done in terms of transferring the money, making sure that, the guidelines have been given to the counties. And so I know it's the first year or the second year now after devolution of the health function. And so we expected some teething problems. But what is not acceptable is people delaying salaries because of administrative inefficiencies. That clearly Kenyans cannot accept.
As the CS for Health, I think we can reasonably say the buck does stop with you. So for those patients who are stuck in hospitals in Mombasa, who are getting no attention, what hope or assurance can you give them?
The buck stops at the chairman of Council of Governors because it's a devolved function.
So you're saying that this is his problem to figure out?
It is his problem because he has the money. You see, today, if the money, all the issues they're raising, I could have asked the money to deal with them.
Mm-hmm.
But if they have received the money, it means the buck stops with them to deal with that issue.
Thank you very much for speaking to us this evening.
Thank you.
Let's move to politics now. So what comes first in the referendum, the question or the signatures? Court's launch of a signature collection drive in preparation for a referendum is raising questions over whether the public really knows what it is signing up for. Fredo Mulo reports.
Saturday marked the official launch of Court's drive to collect 1 million signatures that could lead the country into its latest plebiscite. The coalition's principals fanned out across the country to mobilize their supporters in the new push. But what really were these ordinary people enlisting themselves for?
What I'm signing for, I might not know, but I believe that something will be good after the signing of that form.
I've not yet read the portfolio, but from the way the guys are talking, it's like each and every issue that you're facing right now is going to be addressed.
Observers have offered contrasting views to the recent developments, terming the process as fraught with risks, while others have given it a clean bill of health.
Ideally, the question or the issue for people to discuss is what should come first before collecting the signatures. Because by the time I sign, I should be knowing what I'm signing for or against if I refuse to sign.
First of all, you collect the signatures, and with the signatures, you attach it with the bill to the Electoral and Boundaries Commission, who will then take it to the county assemblies to gather the signatures. So what they're doing is the constitutional procedures.
The constitution remains silent on which step comes first, but the possibility of a person who signed up for the process rushing to court if they don't like the formulated bill looms large.
My humble plea to Kenyans is to be very objective to this issue, and if they can read off the motions, then they'll clearly see the essence, the process.
Those governors want more money, just like the governors elsewhere. But the pattern is for them to appear to be supporting their leader, who right now is the president. And so they are not following any particular issue. They are simply following regional ethnic identities.
And while Court's drive was moving apace, the governors were having their own problems after their quest for another vote was abandoned by colleagues who belong to the ruling coalition for the simple reason that Court is enthusiastically supporting the drive.
The perception now in the country is that the Council of Governors driven referenda has actually been taken over by Court.
We must all be accountable. Na hata hii mzigo ya referendum ukianza utabeba mzigo yako wewe mwenyewe.
Kama wewe ni governor kutoka mirengo ya Jubilee, we are telling them you cannot join the referendum of the Court coalition. Iko tu referendum ni moja, na hiyo ni ile ya Raila.
In short order, the push for various referenda touching on issues affecting Kenyans' lives has deteriorated into a personality contest, leaving the country high and dry. Almost a decade after Kenya held its first plebiscite, the new initiative is already swaying under the weight of our infamously ethnicized politics. And while the onus of educating the public on the issues at hand lies with the champions of the new push, the country runs the real risk of losing a noble cause to a political contest. Fred Omulo, KTN, Kisumu City.
Well, it's not often that Wilson and I get to tell a love story on the news, but tonight we do. We now move to that love story from Bukusu land that has gripped the nation.
Sarita Patel and Timothy Kamala can now formally tie the knot.
And this is after the expiry of the 21-day window for presentation of any objections.
The jubilant couple is, however, hoping to get the blessings of Sarika's estranged family.
Here's Sharon Momanyi with that story.
Sarika and Timothy smile and play cheekily. It is an exceedingly happy day for the couple. The 21-day window given for anyone objecting their union to file a petition with local authorities is over. The couple, whose love that defied odds of class and culture got the whole country talking, now have the legal green light to be together.
Fikia saa hizi hatujapata upingamizi yoyote kutoka kwa mtu yeyote. Hakuna shida, wanaweza endelea kukaa pamoja kama bwana na pipi.
No one might sleep peacefully in this place today if I'll be getting married today. I'll be so crazy about this day.
In order to verify that indeed there are no legal nor civil inhibitions to their union, our KTN team visited the Webuye Law Courts, Webuye Police Station and DC's office. From the records, the couple is cleared for the one thing they say they want the most, to bind their love forever.
Kufunga pingu na Sarika imefika. Ndafurahi sana kwa sababu hiyo ndio kitu nimengojea kwa maisha yangu yote tangu 2011.
And Hamala's family is a jubilant lot, happy to invite Sarika into their home.
Hivyo Sharika na kushauri umheshimu mke wangu usiche ukamtusi. Wala umheshimu mtoto wangu usiche ukamtusi.
Sarika ni msichana wa furaha. Tena ameshika mwenendo vile sisi huwa tunakula kidheri, anakula ndizi, anakula hata anachukua kuchonga.
Happy as they may be, the new couple is still hoping for a hand of blessing from Sarika's family, who have not been in support of their union.
What I'm really fighting for is to get the two families together. They can sit together, eat together. And my aim after my marriage will be just getting them together.
Mi wako free kukuja, wanitembelee wakati wote nye wanataka. Hata wakitaka kunivite, wanaweza ni-invite anytime wanataka. Mi ndaingia huko sitaogopa.
Wakuja tutembeleane, pali watoto wamelemewa, tuweze kuwasaidia.
A love story whose happy ending, should it be, will be the joy of many people in support of love beyond cultural and class barriers. Sharma Manyi, KTN.
Activities take root, that is. But the taxman is taking steps to rectify this by partnering with the African Tax Administration Forum, ATAF, to build critical mass in its staff ahead of the coming resource boom. Adelaide Changole has more on this story.
Kenya could join the League of Oil-Producing Nations by 2017, but the country could miss out on the bonanza brought about by the mineral boom because it lacks the technical capacity to adequately negotiate tax treaties.
The challenge is in having the right people, the right numbers, the right skills. We have challenges in having resources to invest in technology.
This could compound the problem that has seen Kenya and other African nations lose billions of dollars thanks to weak domestic policies and ill-conceived tax incentives and mining contracts.
The question of transfer pricing, the question of base erosion, the question of the profit shifting, and the resultant loss of taxes that our countries suffer from those kind of activities.
And I think it was estimated at about $60 billion.
KERA is stepping up efforts to train its staff on tax treaties and the technicalities of negotiation, legislation and implementation as it seeks to stem the revenue leakages. The training, done in partnership with the African Tax Administration Forum, ATAF, will build critical mass ahead of the resource boom.
Through ATAF, we can develop frameworks that help us in being able to negotiate tax treaties better.
At the same time, the country could change the structure used to negotiate tax treaties going forward. The state is mulling putting an expiry date on every treaty to give itself an exit clause for agreements that are not beneficial to the country.
So there is need to have time limits to treaties and also to have exit clauses so that if a treaty is not in favor of any partner, a partner should be able to come out of it.
The news comes as KERA turns increased attention to multinationals, accusing them of using tax evasion schemes to deny the government billions of shillings. Adelaide Changole, KTN Business.
And outgoing Nairobi Securities Exchange CEO Peter Mwangi has been appointed Chief Executive of Old Mutual Kenya. Mwangi, who is finishing his second term as the head of the board, is set to start in October, taking over from Ruben Java, who has been reassigned to Zimbabwe. Old Mutual is seeking to tap into Mwangi's vast knowledge as a financial analyst to grow its Kenyan unit as it diversifies its product portfolio. Mwangi is credited with modernizing the NSE, creating efficiency in trading at the bourse, and some of the projects implemented during his tenure include trading treasury bonds on the automated trading system, reducing the trading and settlement cycle to 4 days, as well as demutualizing the exchange and selling its shares to the public. Let's now take a look at how your money worked for you today.
Financial Report, brought to you by KCB Home Loans.
We got 105% mortgage from KCB.
It covered all our costs. Deposit, legal fees, duty, everything. We've seen an apartment, but go to KCB.
Well, it's time to wrap up this bulletin, but not before we remind you of our big question tonight. And we did ask you whether you believe the health services should be devolved. Let's very quickly look at your responses. George Ayeko here says whether to devolve or not, the health budget should be at least at 15% of the total budget.
Well, there's one here from Ngala Kazungu. He says no, no, no. Very emphatic. A lot of exclamation marks there. He says they should build capacity instead of devolving.
All right, it's time to bring you Killer's Corridor on the Inside Story by John Alanamo. And tonight we're looking at the contradictions that have arisen as to exactly who killed people on that fateful day in Peketoni.
That's right. Who carried out those attacks? Those questions still linger. Let's get some answers. John Allen Namel with the inside story. Killers Corridor begins now.